So, so we are live and kicking. Welcome, everybody. This is Christopher Bartley. I am here with Rochelle Edrington. She's an amazing marketing and sales consultant. And I'm going to read her bio. I'm going to do her justice, and I'm going to read what she has sent over. But before she does, we just had a quick conversation, and we're going to go deeper into this off screen, where we were talking about how it is that some of us not knows how to, but I guess maybe courageous enough to kind of share what we're doing. And when we kind of pivot, we share that too. And when we change, we share that. And so Rochelle, I'm going to share this with you because, it was a question. And so I'm also going to, answer it right now. And then we'll talk about it more is, it comes from being in a culture, especially in a startup culture, where that's what is celebrated. Like it's celebrated to make the mistakes and to make the pivots and the changes live. And it's difficult, especially for some of the communities or cultures that we're from. It's like you need to get you got one shot.
Right.
Don't keep switching back and forth, because if you do, it seems as if you're double-minded. If you do, it seems as if you're not sure what you want to do. But when I look at other cultures, they get paid. I didn't realize this until being a part of this, Rochelle. And we got to get into this thing because I know it's almost 2:15.
Right.
But people, like investors will give you money for like what's called, I think it's called like a burn rate or burn through rate. So they'll give you hundreds of thousands of dollars if they understand, first of all, if you have a scalable model, but they'll give you the money to figure the rest out. Yes.
To mesh stuff up.
Mesh stuff up. It exists, And so, listen, guys, this ties into.
What did they teach us at school? We didn't learn that.
And you know what, guys? So for those of you that are watching, the reason and the way that this ties into storytelling is if your story is compelling enough, people will invest, not just with money, but in their time, their resources, or even their networking to back up what it is that you say that you're doing and the end game that you have. And I think that that's why it's so comfortable for people like you or people like me, Rochelle, to be able to share what we're doing. And even if we are messing up, if we make a change, people will come along with the ride for us or with us because they can see to an extent what the end could look like because we decided to paint the picture. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to paint your picture, your founder story, how you got to where you are right now. And for those of you that are just joining for the very first time and you don't know how this works, we're using the 7-point story formula to flesh out a founder story. In this case, it's going to be Rochelle. And we have 7 pieces. First piece is the backstory. Second piece is your catalyst, the thing that calls you to your adventure. The third piece is your big event. The fourth piece is your midpoint. The fifth piece is your crisis, which questions whether or not you were deeply motivated to do the thing to begin with in the startup world. The sixth piece is then your climax, which is, the final showdown. What do you really have to figure out in order to win? And then the last piece is the realization or the conclusion. We're getting through all of that today, guys. So let me just tell you a little bit about Rochelle, who she is, where she's coming from, and just what she's on the mission for, or what she's on the mission to do. So Rochelle Edrington is on a mission to assist service-based businesses and nonprofits with marketing and monetizing one of their most valuable assets, which is their expertise. So Miss Edrington is the owner and founder of Vpro Marketing and Sales. This is where she helps organizations to develop and implement a framework that helps to attract and convert their ideal audience by streamlining their digital marketing and the sales strategy. So she is also a certified digital marketing specialist with over 10 years of sales experience. She's an alumni of Virginia Union University, where she received a BA in marketing, and she is noted for delivering simplified, I can attest to this, digital marketing strategies from a sales perspective. When she's not growing her business, she's spending time with one of her biggest champions and fiance, Dwayne, and being a mother, a judge, a referee. What are you a judge of? What you a judge of?
You got kids. What? You got to make a decision. Who's right, who's wrong, based on information you don't have because you weren't there.
So that means so the referee is also trying to regulate.
Listen.
And she also put her maid to 2 of her preschool age daughters. Is it Nia or Naya?
Nia Amor.
And Maya Destiny. She is passionate about entrepreneurship, women empowerment, and what a month for that. Not just the month, but your life, but especially for March. Self-development and financial literacy. If y'all are still on, and you can give a round of applause, even though I won't be able to hear you. Rochelle won't be able to hear you. Go on ahead and clap it up. Rochelle, listen, we are going to get into this. Let me just go ahead and switch over to our screen here. Okay, so let's talk about your backstory. Now, remember, we are looking at starting with the end in mind. Your end is that you actually became the founder of what you are right now of your company. So with that in mind, we are now going to build out your backstory. Where do you want to begin? Think of it from a journalistic standpoint: who, what, when, where, how, and why.
I honestly, I like to start with the pivotal planting of the seed of entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Because that has a lot to do with the reason why I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So do I just shoot? Do I just start talking? How does it work?
Yeah, and if you deviate or whatnot, I'm this is why I'm here. I'm the guy to get you right back on track and to flesh things out for you.
Okay. So, I shared this story many a times. The main reason why I always wanted to be an entrepreneur is because my dad, I tell people all the time, he was like that natural born hustler. But it was a moment in my life when I was about, I want to say I was in like first or second grade. So I don't know the age. What is that? 6, 7? But anyway, I was really good at spelling, and he was like, "Hey, before dinner, I want you to look in the dictionary and find the word entrepreneur." Listen, I'm like, "No problem, Dad. Listen, I know how to spell entrepreneur. Aunt. Come on now, AUNT, right?" And I'm like so passionate. And I'm a child. Like, listen, I'm a competitive person, And he's like, "I bet you can't find it." So, I had a very hard time finding entrepreneur in the A's, as you can imagine why. But he eventually, told me that entrepreneurs start with an E. But that pivotal moment, I am 35 now. Okay. How many over 30 plus years ago, I remember that story. And at that moment, my dad had the opportunity to share with me what an entrepreneur was, the freedoms that came with entrepreneurship, like why, I should consider it, right? And the main reasons for me that stuck out, as a little kid, be your own boss. I'm like, ooh, yes, I want to be my own boss, right? And, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but, that was the seed. That's where it started. I wanted to, have my own business. Over time, I was able to dig deep. It's more to me than being a boss, being my own boss, because anyone that has a business, if you truly are honest with yourself, that you are technically not your own boss. Your clients are your boss. You get what I'm saying? But
hey, I gotta say, by the way, the way you say boss is bossy, by the way. Is that a really? Virginia accent, the way you say boss?
Listen, I'm originally from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Listen, okay. I went to school in Richmond, Virginia, which is like my second home, lived in New Jersey. Now in Georgia. I don't know. It's just passion. Just call it passion. Boss.
Love it.
And it's so funny because I actually, in this day and age, I actually don't even really like using the term boss because I think it's really, listen, you know how we talk, Chris. I'm going to get off on a tangent here.
Don't worry, I'm going to keep us to it. No.
Yes, I usually don't like to use the word boss as the way the trend does now because I think it's it gives off the wrong impression of what true entrepreneurship is really about. It's not just about that, right? But anyway, but I always wanted to be an entrepreneur based on my dad having, exposing me to that experience. And literally all through life, I've always taken this an opportunity. How can I make some money? Because I feel like when you have the entrepreneurial mentality, you bring it to almost everything. Listen, I used to...
before you go, because we about to. I feel it. I feel it. I used to just might be your catalyst, but before we get to the catalyst, which is the call to adventure, let's flesh out a little bit more with the backstory. So I have here, you had this one life lesson moment, with your dad about entrepreneurship. It's where you wanted to be a business or to own your business since childhood, being your own boss. Anything else that you want to tell us about that era, right? Those years of your life that might help us to understand why the calling came when it did, why the catalyst came when it did. So we have the who to an extent, right? Obviously the who is you, but the who is also your father in this moment with this backstory. We've got the what, which is this life lesson. We even have some of the why, where you wanted to own your own business because of how he had shown you what it was to be an entrepreneur. Was he, and I might have missed this, was he an entrepreneur himself?
Yes.
Okay.
My dad, I title him as a natural born hustler. Like he knows how to, he knows how to make a dollar. Okay, like yeah. So yes,
so
he was an entrepreneur
because he was. That was also something that kind of rubbed off. Well, not kind of. I mean,
it did.
So you grew up in a culture of I don't want to say hustling, but you grew up in a culture of entrepreneurship.
The legal hustling. Yes, so I would definitely say yes. I grew up in a culture of entrepreneurship. My dad, he's tried. When I say tried, like he's done things in the past, and like we were just talking offline, like you do things, you start and stop. You if you find out if it's for you or not. But my father has done a lot of different things. You know, from selling security. I just remember these alarms. We had to go to the playground with these alarms things that we had to pull. Like you know, he used to sell like security equipment, and he was into the real estate industry, and I can't even think about everything that he's done, you know, but for me, it wasn't always about what he did.
Yeah. That's that pursuit of happiness kind of vibe with
but he was always about entrepreneurship, like ownership, like, you know, how can you take control? And that was passed down to him from his mother, you know?
Okay. So so I'm going to put here. So, grandmother.
My grandmother always had, I never really had the opportunity to meet my grandmother. I mean, she passed away when I was 5, but even though I haven't met her, it's something that she told him that he told me or us, me and my other 2 sisters, is don't let anyone control your mind. You get what I'm saying? That is a powerful statement that that is my grandmother's legacy to me, for us. And for me, entrepreneurship is a part of that. You know what I mean? I have nothing against having a job. Listen, we all got to start somewhere. We got to do what we got to do. But control to me is, what can I do that is in my power, that is not based on someone else? You get what I'm saying? If I have a job and that is the only thing that I'm doing, if they have to downsize and they cut me, I have no control over that. Right. Entrepreneurship to me is I have control, because if I do the right work and work with the right people based on my efforts, I have a business. I get paid. You get what I'm saying? That's a little bit more control for me.
Okay, I like that. Now we might have to get some more backstory, but this is good. This is good to work with. Talk to us about the catalyst. When was that moment? Now it seems like you have a lot of this in the backstory already, but let's fast forward a little bit to what is going to get us to you saying at the very end, yes, Marketing VP Pro is off the ground. What was the moment or the person that and it could still have been your father, it could have been something that you remembered, but what was the thing that said, okay, I have to make a shift? And so maybe I should ask it this way. Out of college, were you already working? Were you employed for someone, or were you self-employed right out the gate, or what was there a shift between that?
Yeah, so I had a job. I started out W-2, but then it was turned into W-2 to commission. But I had a sales job. But I told everyone, I feel like that was my training into entrepreneurship. You know, you mentioned pursuit of happiness. That was my job. Like I went in and I went into a territory. I knew no one. I was living in Northern Virginia. I knew no one. I had no business. Unlike some people that got into the medical sales, they had business handed to them. I did not. I had to sell myself to get into the company. Then I had to, you know, I don't know if this is part of the backstory, but with having the job, I was in training longer than most people, because I had to sell myself into getting a territory, to get into a territory that had no business. Just to get into that territory is to sell myself to physician offices and why they should use the company that I was working with, so I was in and out of doctor's offices in areas that I did not know, with people I did not know, just bringing my passion and convincing them that the service was the best. And I grew a territory from zero to $250,000 in revenue. Like, to some people, that might not be a lot, but that is a lot when you don't have sales experience. You're getting into an area where you're young, Black, and a female, and you're working with, Caucasian old men, that you have to work through barriers. Yes, I was able to do that.
That's huge. So now let's tell us. So used to going into unknown territories where you're, these, and I'm going to put here, just for the sake of context here, if I can just spell it, physician territories. We'll clean that up, but generating from zero, like starting from zero, and I should put here starting, right? From zero, and then building it up to like 250K in revenue for the company you were working for, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When did you realize, or what was it that said, that's cool, but you need to be doing that for yourself? What was that moment?
Well, I think I had a burning moment. I felt like my family, my friends, people that knew me, they looked at me like, Ro got it good. She went to college. She got a good job. I was making 50K right out of college. That's a huge deal. You know what I mean? But I was unhappy. Like, I was going in and out of 20 to 30 doctor's offices a day. Like, because when I commit to something, I commit. I want to win. I want to succeed. So, I will wake up, I wake up early, 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, get out the house. I'm sorry, 7 o'clock in the morning. Don't get back home until, like, if anybody live in the DMV, you know how it is in traffic. Get home until like 5 or 6 o'clock just to get back in front of my computer to put in orders, to follow up. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not done working until about 7 or 8. And granted, even though family and friends, kind of looked at me like she got it good, I was unhappy. I remember one time literally crying to my dad when I came home. I was like, I'm not, and he's a proud father. Like, my baby girl, I raised her right. She went off, did some things, and I'm crying to him like, I'm not happy. I don't want to do this. Because my thing is, if I'm going to put all this energy into something, I want it to be something that is mine. You get what I'm saying? Something that, I can pass down. I can't pass this down. This ain't my company, you know? So, I, once again, that burning seed of entrepreneurship was there. Like, I had no problem working hard. I had no problem learning what I needed to learn in sales, because that's how I'm in business now. But it's like, I was not happy. I wanted more. I wanted something that was fulfilling. Every single day I kept asking myself, how am I changing a life by selling Band-Aids, selling table paper? And I had to, I'm like coaxing myself into this. Well, Ro, if somebody comes in the doctor's office and they're sick and you didn't sell them, you're not going to save that doctor you're not gonna save them $2 on this table paper, and it's gonna be germs that spread on the table because there's no table. Like, I'm trying to like literally stretch myself and say, how is this meaningful? I wanted something that was meaningful.
This is good. So looking for something that was meaningful, would you say that moment, and you might have had more than one moment, but the moment that you cried and talked to your father, was that kind of what did he say? Or was that like the moment? Was that like your final, like, okay?
No.
Or was it just kind of part of the process? Because, you might have had more than one of those.
It was a part. Yeah, it was multiple moments. It was just a part of the process, I mean, I really didn't have, so I think this might be a pivotal part of the story. So as a part of my way of doing something that was of passion to me, while I was working that job, I became a financial services professional. I got my insurance license. I got my investment license. And when I learned how I can help people with their finances, and I come from the inner city, I understand, the woes that people have with money. I'm like, oh my gosh, I felt like, like my family sent me off to another country to go get the information and bring it back to my family. I'm like, oh my gosh, I found the golden nugget. I want to go back and help people. So I started to work for a company and in the financial services. And my passion grew so much for that, to where even when I was working in the medical sales, I'm like, man, I just want to do that. So it got to a point, I quit that job to do financial services. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hold on. Pause. Okay. I think that might be, I was going to put that as a big event. but I think that might be it. So you additional. So this is like additionally, you started working as and it's called a financial services.
Financial services professional.
Okay, professional. And with that, you got your licenses. What else did you get? Because you said you got something else.
My insurance license and my investment license.
Okay, so insurance and investment licenses. Okay, and then there was this aha moment where you wanted to share what I don't want to say what you've learned, but would we say that? Share what you've learned too? Like you wanted to give that back to
I wanted to help people with their finances. That was the meaningful thing. I felt like I needed to fill that void of doing something meaningful.
Right. Okay. So that aha, meaningful. Yeah. I'm going to put here meaningful, and also this your purpose moment where it's like, okay, I wanted to help people with their finance. And you said something was like the golden, the golden nugget.
Yeah, I just felt like it was gold. Like I found gold, and let me bring it back to my, my family.
In the hero's journey, that's so good. In the hero's journey, when you cross into the ordinary world, you go into the special world, you slay the dragon, and you get the boon, the prize. The last part of it is going back to your ordinary world again with the stuff that you got in the special world. And so this here, though, wouldn't be the end of the story. Here, it's the catalyst, because this now is going to push us to your big event. So now you decided to leave, right? Fully. You leave the medical sales job. And I'm going to put here, so you leave, and that might be the we might have to switch this over, but that's okay. I'm going to just keep it here, and then let's go to your big event. So what happened after you left? Was there anything significant, some huge milestone before we get to I'm all in marketing VP Pro? Here we come, even though you might not have the name yet, but you're just like,
yeah. Okay. So the big event. So just to we transition to the story. So concisely. So I went and worked for the financial services company. I think I was there for about 4.5 years. I worked there 4.5 years. Had some successes. Overall, I would say based on what I went into that industry to do, I didn't have the success I wanted because I was targeting the wrong people. Okay. So, and that has a lot to do with why I do what I do in my company, right? But transition wise, I was with that company for about 4.5 years. I then got pregnant. I was not where I was needed to be financially. And I decided to move back home to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. In that transition, I made a decision. I was like, all the work that I was doing to, get business in that industry, with becoming a new mom with an infant, I did not have the time or the energy to go knocking on doors, to sit at someone's kitchen table 6 o'clock at night, 2 hours at a time, fingers crossed, hoping that they're going to buy something. You get what I'm saying? Like I did not have that capacity anymore. So I began to, and I think I skipped some steps, but I don't think it matters. But I began to start to think about what can I do? What can I do that was conducive to my lifestyle? Then I transitioned into like a work from home job. I was still, it wasn't a job because I wasn't a W-2. I was still, I was an independent contractor.
Okay.
So I started doing some like sales on the phone, independent contractor work. But it wasn't until I realized, listen, I'm not making enough here. Yes, I'm able to work from home before work from home became a norm. Then I found a job. I found a company that was looking for a sales consultant that was going to pay me what I wanted to be paid. When I worked for this company, I had a lot of success because they had no sales experience. It was a startup company, had a lot of success. I actually felt like a superstar. And it wasn't until during that time they started picking my brain about marketing, because they knew I went to school for marketing. And I think it was based on the questions I was asking them. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? To where they're like, hey, why don't you help us with our marketing too? My pivotal moment came from, well, listen, if they see value, then I might know a little bit more than I think I know. You know what I mean? So I started to do research on the stuff they wanted me to do and looking at what people were charging for it and things like that. I was like, listen, I can maximize my time and actually start to offer these services at 2 or 3 times more, you know,
Mm.
than what they're currently paying me. Because pretty much, even though I was an independent contractor, I was being paid to do one job, but I was also helping them to do another job, but still at that same rate. That sounded like an employee to me. You know what I mean? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Oh, that's so
So,
good. That's so good.
so
You know what I'm
basically,
gonna
the
put here?
big
What I'm gonna put here, because you're good. You are when I say you're good, like your pace is really well. Your big event here is the pregnancy. Like you having
yeah.
your
Oh
first
yeah.
child shifted everything to then working as an independent contractor, and then as an independent contractor finding that startup company or the startup company finding you and realizing, oh, you have value as a marketer, and then you saying, I do have value as a marketer, and then
Aha.
right,
What is
that
that?
double aha. They had an
Aha.
aha. You had an aha. So everybody aha together. And now let's get to the midpoint. The midpoint where you're like, okay, because you started working on it. You started doing it just now. So I just wanted to pause you so that we can start filling out this piece right here, where you're like, okay, I'm going all in as a consultant in the marketing sales arena. So let's talk about that. I should say let's
So,
continue talking about that.
so I think honestly, like from there, from that to Vpro, basically, honest, the first thing I did was created a website, right? Well, that's not the
Mm.
first thing I did. I identified what services, what services what I wanted to offer. I then looked. I was like, hey, if I got this one client, I can get other clients like them, you
Yeah.
know. So I defined my services, figured out what type of folks or businesses I wanted to target, and just started to get some of my marketing collateral together. Listen, I wasn't a graphic designer. I'm not a graphic designer, but I learned different things I needed to have in place to position myself well. Like I know what I know, but if someone don't know me, I need to create the things so they can trust what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then one
Would you
from
say you learned
there,
graphic design, or you learned enough graphic design
everything.
pieces
No,
to everything?
honestly,
Okay,
I learned everything digital marketing. I'm self-taught in digital marketing.
gotcha.
So, and that's probably what I skipped. But when they actually, helped me to realize how much I know with marketing, and I knew digital marketing was not my strength. They didn't have that in school, right? I began to get certifications. I began to get
Mm,
different certifications to learn it. Because marketing is marketing. But let me just learn this little piece of marketing, right? Like how is
yeah,
regular marketing different than digital marketing? And there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of foundational concepts that are the same. So
yeah.
yeah, I was self-taught. And then what really made me a believer that I'm all in, I realized that what makes me a great marketer is that I know how to sell. I know how to sell because I got my very first like real digital marketing client
Mm.
really from Indeed. I went to Indeed. They were
Mm,
hiring for a job. And I
mm,
was like, hey, pretty much if you're open to considering someone that meet all your criteria that may not be in your area, but that
yeah,
can deliver, I'd be open to having a conversation.
gotcha,
Right.
gotcha.
And the lady reached out to me and she was
Mm,
like, we're in California. Where are you? I said, and I think at that time I was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I was like, I'm in Pennsylvania. She's like, wow, we were really looking for someone that was local, but we need a digital marketing director. Let me call you on some, you know what I mean? So we had a whole nother
yeah,
call and pretty much she told me, I think what happened was they almost denied me. They was like, no, yeah, that's what they said. No, we're looking for someone. And I'm
uh-huh.
pretty sure I still had the email. I like one thing you learn in sales, you don't take that first no. So I said, why settle for this, bro? So I went back. I said, well, you said you were looking for a unicorn. You said, I didn't say these exact words, but like, this is what you said you were looking for. This is
Yeah,
what you said you was looking for. This is
uh,
what I have. Like,
yeah,
how can you know that you're getting, this is what I said. I said, how do you know you're getting the best candidate if we didn't talk?
yeah. You a sales, yep. You a salesperson, yep. Yeah, you she cut the listen. Okay. So what I want to put here is that you started getting what would we say, clients? Yeah,
Yeah, my
started
very
getting
first
clients
client. Yep.
and using What would you say? Because your sales tactics, and I love it. We have there are different kinds of salespeople. What scale would you be on? Would you be on the negotiator scale?
I tell people the methodology that I learned sales is consultative sales. I am not pushy. We're going to talk and we're going to have a conversation. If you say something that I'm like a matchmaker. If I can hear your problem, your challenge, your goal, and I feel like my services or what I do can, help you to reach that or get closer to it, I'm going to tell you how they connect.
Love
that's consultative sales.
Good stuff. So I'm going to put here that you use consultative sales experience to acquire your new business. And so, crisis. When was that moment that you said, am I doing the right thing? Or there's this huge challenge that came, which is really questioning not just even your midpoint, but even the big event that you had where you're just like, hold on, a company sees my value. Hold on, I see my value. But now the midpoint or the crisis, is like, do I really have what it takes? Tell us about that crisis.
So I had a moment, and I'm so mad I'm using my phone. I have to find my charger. We got 10%. But so unprepared. So I had a moment. I had a client who, I'm gonna put it bluntly, we ended the contract a little earlier. It was for two reasons. One, for financial for them, because there was a shift in their business. But two, they were looking more for someone that really knew a lot about content marketing. Okay. At that point in my, digital marketing career, that wasn't my strong suit. So I actually took it hard because this was a client that I was very grateful for getting. It was like one of the most amount of money, the biggest checks I had gotten, and it ended early. Probably for about 24 hours, I felt down in the dumps. Like my greatest champions that were, excited about me getting clients and making a transition. They were also there for me like, bro, like this is part of the journey. Like, you know what I mean? Pretty much get it together and keep going. But yes, that brought about self-doubt. Like, I think a lot of people that I talk to that are self-taught deal with the imposter syndrome. We ask ourselves, do we really know what we know? Because if it was this easy, if we could figure it out, why ain't everybody else figuring it out? But I think one thing I am still learning is that when you understand that you might have a superpower, of seeing things and connecting things and learning things that the average Joe and Jane cannot, that's why we are good at doing what we do, So yes, that failure brought about self-doubt. Like, do you really have what it takes? Do you really know what you're talking about? So yeah, that was probably the biggest, in a sense, crisis per se, right? In my journey that was pivotal, that helped me to, catapult to the, the next level to keep going.
Gotcha. I like that. And that is really the crisis statement. I usually put these in this little section here. Do I really have what it takes? And I'm also going to put in here, because you're so right about the imposter syndrome. Oh my goodness. It is a real
thing.
Psychological horror for people who are especially freelancers or founders or anybody that's kind of going on their own or building a team. Yeah, it's the comparison is the thief of all joy, they say. So let's do this. We now hit the crisis. You're at that moment where you say, do I really have what it takes? Climax now is the showdown. In this case, the showdown obviously is going to be between you and yourself. The opposition in this case is you and your mindset. And the climax really is the moment where you realize, hold on, I had everything, big event, from the beginning. So what happened? What was the event, the situation, or perhaps the person that allowed you to face yourself, and what was the result?
In a nutshell, again, so what was the moment, the pivotal moment that helped me to realize that I have everything I need? To be quite honest, I feel like I'm living that moment right now. I can't speak it from the past. And the reason why, and I don't know if that's going to mess up the story.
No, I love it. I live these moments. Like, what you mean?
Yeah, I feel like I'm living it because I've kept journals since high school. you know, actually probably middle school. And just a couple weeks, about a month ago, I'm reading through journals. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot I went to an entrepreneurship camp. You know, I'm telling my fiance, babe, I went to an entrepreneurship camp, you know, and I'm thinking about all these things that I've, you know, reading all these things that I've done in the past that were these things I forgot, you know, that was a part of becoming who I am. You know, to me, it was empowering. It's like, whoa, you know, even though you might have only been doing digital marketing for 4 years, or even though you went, you know, you got 10 years of sales experience, like most of your life, you've been on this entrepreneurial journey. So I feel like I'm living it. I will honestly say one of the biggest things that happened to me in the last 12 months that is really helping me, that's bringing this, like, not full circle, but like, what is the word? It's just more of a realization of stop second guessing. You got it, what it takes. About now, almost a year and a half ago, God gave me a vision about doing something for nonprofits. How can I take what I do marketing wise for nonprofits? And I came up with this initiative that's still, I'm sorry, I know you said we're going to be real laid back here, but let me, I got to put this charger in for this cut off. I do apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And as you're doing that, for those of you that are still watching, listen here. Even though Rochelle feels as if this might kind of have thrown us out of whack, this is exactly what the climax is for a lot of us, where we actually have, this is that moment where you're feeling down and out, and there's somebody that comes or something that shows up. In this case, it's her journals, that's showing you that all along you had the answers, that all along your journey led up to this very moment. And so even though you're in this crisis piece or this crisis season where it's like, oh wow, did I really make the right choice? Did I pull the ripcord too soon? She came across some journals. Rochelle, you are on point with the climax. This is exactly what the climax is about. So the fact that you're even saying I'm living it right now, it does bleed into the realization or the conclusion, which in this case, the conclusion isn't fully the conclusion, but the conclusion is that you did start marketing VP Pro, but you know,
Vpro.
Yeah. But yeah, so I definitely want us to go to this piece, and then we can maybe flesh out some other things, just so that we can make good use of our last 10 minutes here.
So, can I say this really quick? Because I had stopped myself, so and I'll say this concisely. With the platform for the nonprofits. So that vision came to, so that came to me about a year and a half ago, and I stepped out on faith without having no experience with it. It's called Campaign for a Cause, a platform that helps nonprofits to, you and I talked about this, helps them to fundraise selling t-shirts coupled with a marketing program. And I stepped out on faith, scared as I don't know what. Stepped out on faith and did a pilot launch. It's in the pilot stages now, but last November, working with 5 nonprofits, revenued, and I hate talking about money, but it's just, you know, revenue $7,000, help nonprofits to, you know, bring in money for their organizations just by learning. And almost everybody I talk to, they're like, oh my gosh, you're onto something big. So, you know, with the journals and stepping out on faith and just doing XYZ, I'm realizing, like, listen, bro, you got everything. It's all in here. It's all in here. Just do it. So that's why I say I'm living it. Because every day that I just take action into what I believe, how to fill a need and how to fill a gap, I feel like it's just opening up doors to, like, hey, you're right on track.
Hey, you are right on. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to have a question, and then we got to pull up these life lessons right quick. So let me switch right over here. We're going to add this last piece. Did marketing VP... did marketing Vpro?
It's Vpro Marketing. Yeah, the website is confusing. It's Vpro Marketing Sales.
So did Vpro Marketing begin at the midpoint in the crisis, or was this after? Because I just want to make sure that I have the
Vpro Marketing started after. I can't see it from here. It started after I pretty much that company that was tapping into my marketing knowledge. I started it right after that.
Okay, gotcha. So
or during that, actually, it was during that, because
during. Okay,
yeah.
So let me put that, because I want to add, like, that you actually did it. So big event here. Well, you know what? I'm gonna put it here, the midpoint, because this is where you started defining your services, focusing on the target audience. So Let me switch to Vpro Marketing. So here's my question. Just so that I get this correctly, because I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go through the entire story. Did Vpro Marketing begin as an independent contract, or did you register it officially after the startup was like, oh wow, you have?
Yes, so it started as an independent contractor, and during that time, I registered the LLC.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna put here registered. Okay.
This really, I don't know what's going on. I think my phone is about to die. This is so jacked up.
Is
Give
it
me 1 second. Let me take my camera off and go get my other charger. I'm gonna have to walk, but I'm gonna take my camera off. Is that okay?
Okay, no, that's fine.
All right.
That's fine because we can still see you and hear you clearly. So
yes, sorry about that.
That's cool. So now let's get to the realization piece. Now let's get to, you've kept these journals. You come across these journals. You realize that you poured into and you invested in yourself in the past. You have what it takes. Other people are realizing this too, especially with the vision that you've had with helping MPOs fundraise through T-shirts coupled with the marketing campaign program. What was your conclusion to this particular narrative? Now, I know it's still ongoing, but based on where we started, you fulfilling a legacy, you wanting to do something that's beyond just you, but wanting to give back to, or not give back, but pay it forward to your kids that you now have, and just kind of continuing this entrepreneurial legacy. What was your big realization? Not the realization that I had what it take, but what is your overall realization of this entire narrative from beginning to now its end? I think.
Sorry about that. No, it's good. I hope this does not die, Chris. Sorry about this. I would say in a nutshell, it would be that I had what it takes, that this been in the works for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Let's make it more personal. Let's make it about you. What did you realize now about you beyond just you have what it takes? When you think about this entire story arc, what would you put as maybe a conclusion to this thing? Even though we know it's still, there's a new chapter that's now being lived out. How would you close this particular chapter, knowing that after reading the journals, after understanding that you had everything to be where you are now? What would be the conclusion?
Follow my inner voice, trust myself, and know that I have everything I need to, I have everything I need to go to the next step.
Gotcha. To go to next level. Okay, great. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to now ask you to look at the 5 lessons. Man, we are cutting it close, but I think we can do this. No, but you're good. What are 5 lessons that we can pull from your story? Because people are going to be like, okay, great. She's a founder and she's able to do these amazing things, but how does this apply to me? What would you tell them? 5 things that they can take away from your story.
You can learn anything.
Okay. And best believe we will definitely refine and nuance these. But I love the fact that you're good at this. So, what's the next one?
Trust yourself.
Okay.
Tap into your support system.
That's a good one. Next. And I'm going to put here find and tap into, because you know what? Some people, they may not have one, but they realize that they don't think they have one, but they do.
Yeah.
Find and tap into support system. That's a good one.
Just think about everything we talked about. Understand your value.
That's a huge one.
Understand your value. And get rid of stinking thinking.
Love it. Get rid of stinking thinking. Okay. Now, obviously, I think we know what that is about. But what I'm going to do
that imposter syndrome, that self-doubt, all of that.
Imposter syndrome. Okay, cool. So so what we're gonna do, I might have you dive into these just a little more, because understanding the value, I know, and deals also with how much you actually price yourself as too, position yourself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 5 minutes. Here's what I'm going to do, Rochelle. I'm going to go through your story arc. If there's anything that is incorrect, audibly just tell me, because I won't be able to see you while I'm doing this. So just say, hold on, wait a minute. I might have missed something or misinterpreted something. Okay. And so,
Okay.
yeah. So listen, guys, this is Rochelle Edrington's story of how she started the Vpro
Marketing and Sales.
Vpro Marketing and Sales company. And as a founder, this is how it began. So she had this one pivotal and memorable life lesson from her father that was about entrepreneurship. And from this one lesson, which was with the dictionary, and we can't get into that, but she had this etymological moment, understanding what entrepreneurship was about. She from childhood wanted to own her own business, to be her own boss. And that's really because not just what that lesson was, but who her dad actually was. He was a natural born hustler. She grew up in an entrepreneurship culture. And not only that, but her grandmother passed it down to her father. And so instinctively, the father passed it down to Rochelle. So there's this strong legacy within the family regarding taking control of your own life through building something. And in this case, these building blocks, or the building of the something, is a business. So here's what actually happened, guys. The catalyst is she had a sales job in medical sales, and she was okay, and she was comfortable. Like, this is just something that she was able to, you can drop her into an unknown area, particularly for physicians, where there was literally nothing happening as far as revenue. Like, there was nobody who ever tapped into the market, and she had the capacity to start from zero to generating $250,000 worth of revenue for the company that she was working for. However, she was still unhappy. Even with the massive professional success that she had, she wanted more. There was this burning seed of entrepreneurship that sprouted, and it was a strong sense of legacy once again that started to prevail. Additionally, though, what happened was she started working as a financial services professional, and she got her insurance and investment licenses in order to back that up. One thing about Rochelle is she's just not going to jump into something. She's going to make sure that she is competent in it. One of my values is mastery, and I believe that, Rochelle, one of yours is as well. You just don't want to hop into something. You want to make sure that you not only do it, but you do it to your best self, which is why the crisis makes so much sense. So she had this aha meaningful purpose moment where she wanted to help people with their own finances. It was almost like the golden nugget that she wanted to bring back to her own community. And so she leaves this medical sales job, and she works for this financial services company for about 4.5 years. And she didn't have much success because she was targeting the wrong people. Put a pin there, because that's going to focus on marketing later. But here's the big event, guys. She got pregnant, and she wasn't financially stable. So what she decided to do was move back home for support. Now, she didn't have the time and energy to do sales like before. And she started thinking, what can I do to align myself and the job that I could have with this new mother lifestyle? So she became an independent contractor working from home. And she had a startup company, or there was a startup company that saw value in her work as a marketer. And so that was an aha moment for them. But the aha moment for her was she realized that she was onto something to start her own business because of the value that she was able to provide for that startup company. Midpoint, she said, okay, I'm going to go all in, not just as an independent contractor, but I'm going to go ahead and register my business that I started as a work from home mother. But now I'm going to make this thing sustainable, scalable, and profitable. How does she do that? Well, she defines what services she wanted to offer. She focuses on her target audience. She learned everything in the digital marketing space to get the business off the ground. So once again, just like she did with the financial professional services job, she got certifications in digital marketing. So once again, this whole idea of mastery is a pivotal part of Rochelle's story. Then she started getting clients. She used her consultative sales experience to acquire new business, and she registered Vpro Marketing. Now, crisis mode, guys. The contract with one of her ideal clients ended early because, obviously for them, financial reasons, but also because they were looking for content marketing experience, which she did not have. Now, this plays heavily into, and I didn't put this here, but based on the story that we're looking at, it plays heavily into her competence, right? She's a person who goes into a space and learns about that space and kills the space. So now you have a client who's ideal, who says, you don't know enough about this to help us anymore. That's going to hurt. And so the crisis moment here is of not just of self-doubt, but to ask the question, do I really have what it takes? Well, the climax is this. Yes, she does. She kept journals since middle school and high school. And eventually, once upon a time, she reads these events that she realized she did. She's had these experiences from since she was a kid where she would pour into herself, invest in herself from the past. And so she realized that most of her life, she was on this entrepreneurial journey to begin with. So the question, do I have what it really takes? Yes, she does. And not only that, but a year and a half ago, she had a vision to help nonprofits fundraise through t-shirts coupled with the marketing campaign program. And she also received this affirmation from NPO leaders to fulfill this vision. So that's another piece of this showdown between herself and her doubt, where it is affirmed, no, you do have what it takes. And there are other people who are championing her. So realization, she's like, no, listen, I just need to be able to trust in the work that I've already put in, trust in myself. Yes, God too, she's a believer, but trust in the work that I've already invested. Follow the inner voice and to realize she has everything that she needed to go to the next level and to the next step. All right, guys, for those of you that still don't resonate, what Rochelle is telling you is this: you can learn anything. That ties into the competency value that she has. Find out what it is that you want to do and learn about that thing so that you can master it and add value to somebody else. Next, trust yourself. Next, find and tap into a support system. You are going to need one because as competent and as masterful as Rochelle is, there's always going to be a moment where you have to fall back and lean back on your support system. And she was able to do that with her family when she became a work-at-home mother at one season of her life. Next, understand your value. If you can't understand your value, other people will put the price on you. And we know what that looks like, especially as freelancers and consultants. Mm-hmm. And the last one is get rid of stinking thinking, AKA the imposter syndrome. Rochelle, I want to thank you so much because this was an amazing story arc. I know it was a mouthful. And any last words, though, before we sign off, anything that you want to tell the people? I know that they saw the website that they can find you at marketingvpro.com. They can find you also at Grow with Vpro on Facebook and at grow.with.vpro on Instagram. But anything else, any last words that you would like to share with our audience?
The last Chris, you're the bomb. You already knew that. Like, you made that sound like there's about to be the trailer for a movie. Like,
listen, your life is a movie.
That sounded good. I definitely want to thank you for offering me this opportunity to sit with you. Like, wow. We're going to definitely chat offline. But Absolutely. For others, definitely, I don't know if you're recruiting for this, but they need to sit with you because this is good. But no, if anybody, I'm looking to, work with consultants, coaches, service-based businesses, service providers, nonprofit leaders, and nonprofit consultants. If you're looking to, market and monetize your expertise, with a simplified digital marketing strategy and, just figuring out how you can use what you do to bring in more income, let's chat. You could go to my website, www.marketingvpro.com. We could schedule a 20-minute free chat. And let's see if we would be a good fit for one another. But I absolutely appreciate this opportunity. Like, I can't wait to get the document. I'm like, what should I do with this?
The beauty of this is it's your story, right?
Yes, this you made it sound good. I mean, when you read it, you like so animated, like a movie with all the, the music in the background, dun dun dun, and then
I might just have to, you
gotta add that music. You gotta add that music, Chris. Like, ooh, like.
That, hey, listen, you onto something. All right, listen, Rochelle. So stay on. We're going to talk for a little bit afterwards. For everybody else, if you didn't catch the beginning, go back and watch it. Rochelle has an amazing story, and she pulled out some cool, not just cool, but applicable life lessons for you to extrapolate, especially if you want to be a founder or just going through a rough time, to know that you already have what it takes, guys. All right, we out, and we'll see you on the next What's Your Story?